Unite beyond boundaries. Innovate together. Joe's Pankration 2024. No border.
E.G. Yuson, and today I'm going to discuss how serverless security shifts to the left. All right. So before anything else, let me introduce myself. I am E.G. and I am from the Philippines. I am a DevOps engineer from Ingenuity Software and the current user group leader of AWS User Group Davao. Right. So our short agenda for today is the following. First, we are going to review the allure and the benefits of what serverless computing gives us in order for us to understand better what is there to secure. Next is we are going to revisit the AWS shared responsibility model and how each model is unique to each type of service in AWS. Next is finally, we are going to talk about the shift in mindset in dealing with serverless compute, on how exactly security shifts to the left when dealing with serverless. And finally, we are going to end with the common serverless attacks and potentially how to mitigate them in your very own production workloads. All right, so let's start. So what is serverless computing? So as you guys already know, serverless does not necessarily mean no servers. But there are servers, all right? But it's just abstracted away from you. Serverless, no, just means that AWS is the one who does all the heavy lifting for you. In a nutshell, serverless computing allows you to build and run applications without managing servers. Now, furthermore, to understand more about the allure of serverless, let me show you a comparison diagram. All right. So you might be very familiar with the OG, the OG benefit of cloud computing, which is you pay for what you use. So I know you hear this in every cloud computing talk, but with serverless, however, this benefit somehow shifts to an even more customer-friendly way, which is you pay for what your users use. So with serverless, you don't pay for uptime, you pay per request. Now, this is the huge allure that serverless gives. This is arguably 80% of the reason why startups adopt serverless. Now, you must quote me on this, but I honestly think that going serverless gives off the least barrier to entry when adopting the AWS cloud, right? So that is basically why a lot of people are adopting serverless nowadays. Now, to furthermore compare serverless to traditional architectures, it is important that we revisit the shared responsibility model, right? So if you have been studying for AWS certifications, this diagram may be very familiar to you. So when you search for the AWS shared responsibility model, this diagram pops up immediately. But what does this mean? So this basically means that AWS is in charge of the security of the cloud, all right? And we, the customers, are responsible for the security in the cloud. So AWS says that they are responsible for the underlying host OS, networking, storage, and compute, and etc. And we are responsible for the guest OS, encryption, and network traffic protection. So in a nutshell, this is basically what the AWS shared responsibility model tells us. But with serverless, however, this somehow changed. All right. So as you can see, the diagram before shows us the AWS shared responsibility model of a traditional compute of a traditional application. So this, on the other hand, this diagram I'm showing you is the shared responsibility model of Lambda. All right. So as you can see, AWS takes even more responsibility. The runtime, the execution environment, the compute, right? it's already being handled by AWS. While the customer, on the other hand, is only responsible for the IAM roles of the Lambda function and its code, right? So this is what serverless means. No? It gives a lot of responsibility to AWS, the cloud service provider. All right. So with traditional compute, you provision servers, you handle scaling, you pay for uptime. But with serverless, AWS provisions the servers, AWS handles scaling, and you pay for request. So now that we defined the shared responsibility model, it is now basically what is there to secure, right? And now that all responsibility is being shifted to AWS, so AWS does the heavy lifting. Sometimes we might ask ourselves when dealing with serverless, right? What is there to secure, right? So we are going to answer this later, but in a nutshell, as well as a rule of thumb, when dealing with serverless security shifts to the left. Now, this could mean a lot of things, all right? But there are two things that encapsulates this. So in the development and operation spectrum, right, security shifts to the developers, to the left, all right, the builders of the application. And it could also mean that integrating security measures in the early in the development process, right, rather than addressing them as an afterthought. All right. So, this comparison, in a traditional compute, applications are deployed within a secured perimeter, such as a VPC, and security is most likely added at the end, right? But with serverless, however, it basically focuses on IAM. However, before operations teams rejoice in like going serverless, there is this overlap. All right, there is still perimeter security, especially when serverless resources are exposed to the internet. All right. So in a nutshell, serverless security focuses on function code and libraries, and as well as IAM. So with that, to further understand, let me show you the common serverless attacks. So first of all, this is one vulnerability that is very prevalent in serverless, which is remote code execution, right? So as you can see, in this Lambda handler, this shows a remote code execution. So what if the request body gives you something like a run SQL drop table user, some kind of like that, right? So yeah, you might laugh. This is a vulnerability that's basically being taken care of a lot of tools, but yeah, right. So another example of this is SQL injection, right? So if you noticed, all the vulnerabilities before, they basically come back to serverless. Why? All right. Because this time, you might argue with me that there are already ORMs available and all that. But let me ask you, is your ORM really vulnerability free? Is it really secure to begin with? So these are the types of questions that we need to ask ourselves when dealing with serverless security. So is the way we code really secure? Are the packages we're using secure too? Right? So another example is IAM privilege escalation. So what if your Lambda what if you have an IAM execution role that's basically like this, right? It basically gives your Lambda function admin access. Now, just the trivia, with these kinds of permissions given to your Lambda function, there's actually a way for anyone to see your Lambda function code if given these kinds of permissions in the execution IAM role execution role. All right. So next, as you can notice, the previous examples focuses on the development side, right? It focuses on the developers, on the code, on the packages you install, right? Or the IAM role you give that Lambda function. But here is an example of security that needs to be addressed in the operation side, right? So denial of service is a common attack to serverless when it is deeply coupled with traditional or like serverful services in AWS. So one example here is when your Lambda function is connected to an RDS instance, right? So RDS isn't serverless. So what happens when a rogue machine basically spams your application, right? So your Lambda will scale, your API gateway would scale, but it isn't a guarantee that your RDS instance would scale, right? So one thing that we can do is we decouple them through SQS and then rate limit them with another Lambda function, all right? So next example here is denial of wallet. So denial of wallet is quite similar to denial of service, but what if your whole infrastructure is serverless to begin with, right? From your API gateway to your compute and to your database, it's serverless. Now, unlike denial of service, when your serverless application is coupled with traditional services with AWS, this diagram right here, it scales regardless, right? There is no weak point when it comes to scaling. So what happens is that, of course, your costs will will boom, right? So one example here is to one way to mitigate this, because your API gateway scales, your Lambda function scales, and your DynamoDB table scales. One way to mitigate a denial of wallet attack is to incorporate AWS WAF. All right. So these are the common um, the common attacks in dealing with serverless. All right. So let's go back to the question before. What is there to secure? All right. In serverless architectures, every layer from the code to configurations carries potential vulnerabilities that need vigilant protection. So security must be imposed very early in the software development lifecycle. All right. Developers are not just coding, they are essentially building the fortress walls of their operations in real time. And that security is no longer a responsibility of a specific team. It's no longer the responsibility of the operations team only, right? But a recurring aspect of every stage of application development and deployment. So security is just is not just a feature or an afterthought, but a fundamental aspect of the serverless deployment process. All right. So to conclude, serverless is not secure out of the box. A lot of people might say that serverless is quite secure out of the box, but in fact, it isn't, right? Although serverless abstracts you from managing servers, it does not mean it's completely secure. So there is still a job for us to secure our serverless applications. All right. So that is all. That concludes my presentation. And thank you so much.